This is VOCM Open Line. Call now to get in the queue. 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now. Here's your host, Brian Callahan.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday, the midweek, or if you prefer, the hump day edition of Open Line. I am Brian Callahan, along with the producer of the program, David Williams, behind the scenes, working his magic to get you in the queue and on the air, and you can't do that without the numbers. So 1-709-273-5211 in the St. John's metro area, or longer distance, 1-888-590-VOCM, 590 VOCM, or, of course, numerically, 8626. And emails, we'll take those, of course, and get to them as expeditiously as we can at openline@vocm.com. So not a bad morning out here on the east coast of the island. Still some RDF and chilly temps, but could be worse. Such as on the west coast, where winter's still hanging on by just a thread, we hope. And then that'll be it, right? We hope, for all our friends and listeners on what I would normally hype as the best coast, having some roots out that way. But yeah, the snow and some pretty decent northwesterlies for you folks overnight, waking up this morning and throughout the day a bit, just taking another swipe at us in mid-May. And as I mentioned yesterday, the deadline to swap out the studded tires is Friday. And speaking of mid-May, that happens to be when Newfoundland MP and Federal Fisheries Minister Joanne Thompson has promised to announce or release the ground rules for this year's, like there has to be ground rules, for this year's recreational, i.e. residential, food fishery. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that for sure. And so the plot thickens in the NHL playoffs, and specifically the Habs, of course, and Sabres second-round series, tied 2-2 now after Buffalo held on for a 3-2 victory last night in Montreal. Strange game all around for me, whether it was the nearly 15-minute or so delay taken up with video reviews and goal challenges, the fluky tying goal off the glass or partition off Dobish, and in she goes. And then there's the the plethora of high-sticking penalties, butt ends of sticks in the face. Moses. The only real constants were, again, these spectacular saves by Dobish, his play, and, of course, the goal scoring of our own Alex Newhook, who now has 6 goals and an assist for 7 points in the playoffs. Great show. So far, so good, and we hope it continues into the next round, of course, for many. I felt like the Sabres kind of blinked yesterday when they changed their goalie, maybe show a little weakness or problems, sign of desperation, but no, sir. Overall, I think the big story last night was the power play. Good for Buffalo, bad for the Habs. Just too many missed opportunities with the 4-minute minors. Couldn't put it away. Meanwhile, the Sabres capitalized on their chances, and that was that. So Game 5 in Buffalo tomorrow night. And I've said this before, it really is the most wonderful time of the year if you're a sports fan, because on top of everything else, the World Hockey Championships get underway on Friday. And the Canadians are pretty stacked, with the addition, of course, of Captain Canada, Sidney Crosby, the kid, not to the roster, of course, yesterday, joining the likes of John Tavares, Macklin Celebrini, Mark Scheifele, Dylan Cousins, Morgan Riley, and, of course, Bay Roberts' own Dawson Mercer. Always great to have some local content on the team for that extra thrill to watch, and Crosby really does live up to that on his jersey. Doesn't have to do this, save the body at his age maybe for more of his career, but surely you jest, he says, and he steps up to the plate as he always has. So the team had a solid warm-up game there on Sunday, I think it was, against France, 6-1. It wasn't much of a test, but no easing into this tournament, that's for sure. Canada opens on against Sweden on Friday, just before noon our time, just as we're signing off here, so great timing there. And as for the Jays, well, it's times like these that I'm glad I'm a baseball fan first, then I have my teams I like. Just makes it easier on the stomach to stomach the early season slumps and injuries and missteps and all the rest of it. So the Jays dropped another one last night, mind you, to the AL East leading and perennial thorn in Toronto's side, the Tampa Bay Rays. Rays are actually second in the overall standings, so, second only to the Braves. So this just in, they are really good. But the Jays aren't alone. Just one last note on that. Defending champs, the Dodgers, and the best player on the planet, Shohei Ohtani, they're having the same struggles. So it happens to a lot of teams, even the best ones this time of year. It is a grind, 162. And just like Vladdy, Ohtani's having some issues too. Early season lulls, I would suggest, and lots yet to come. As I mentioned, if we have callers, I'm going to interrupt. And we know, just look at the VOCM website. There are a ton of things we can talk about, topics. I don't mean to give anything short shrift, but the callers are the priority. And Donna, you're on line 1. You're on the air.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a school bus driver, first off. And I've been on Open Line a few times a year.
Yes, we've spoken before.
Yeah. And, this morning, and I got to throw it out there, I stopped my bus, had the stop sign out, picking up kids. People are still passing. And this morning, which was an eye-opener, another school bus from a different busing company passed me.
Okay, that's a new one on me.
Yeah, it's a new one on me, too. I'm like, what the hell, right? So, I got the hand on the horn, and they just, they just pass by, own little world. Nobody exists but them, And then, I'm looking at the kids, and they're kind of like, what the hell, I really think, last year, they kind of picked a couple of buses in different areas and put cameras and stuff on them. I think it should be every bus has a camera.
Donna, does your bus have a camera?
Nope. No, it don't.
That's too bad, because I'd give arm and a leg just to have video of that other bus passing you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And, I know the bus. I know the company. I got all that information. I'll be giving the other bus company a call today just, for a heads up. Maybe Buddy came around a turn because I know I was on a corner. But if my lights are flashing, another driver knows when your lights are flashing, it's a reason, right? I'm not just doing it.
Yeah, you can't miss a school bus with the red lights flashing no matter what corner, unless we get some pretty thick fog around here, but not that much.
No, you still see the lights.
Yeah.
There's another thing, too. I don't know if I'm correct in saying this, but when they were talking about putting a roundabout on Portugal Cove and Major's Path, now, I thought they said that they were going to start the actual construction around 9 and end at 4 because of the, the rush in the morning and the rush to get home in the afternoon. And, I'm sure I've seen it somewhere because I wouldn't say it otherwise. I'm not making this stuff up. But now every day you come in, the roads, the lanes are changed. The signs flick up around 7 o'clock in the morning. They're causing bottlenecks. They're causing backed up traffic. People are getting confused. The lanes are getting narrower,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell are these people doing,
Donna, just so, I remember I only recently discarded my reporter's hat for this, for the new gig, but I did cover the council meeting where Jill Bruce spoke to this and when they originally laid out the plans for that construction there at Major's Path and Portugal Cove. My understanding was there'd be, for Portugal Cove, it's one lane of traffic. That's going to remain open in each direction at all times, no matter what. So there'll be at least one lane through.
Right.
Major's Path and Airport Heights Drive, the one lane will remain open in each direction during peak traffic hours. You're right. So 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. One lane remains open in each direction, and then so from 7 to 9 and from 4 to 6. So the rush hours. And at other times, traffic will be reduced to one shared lane for both directions. And that's as specific as they were regarding that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, yesterday I remember coming up because, that's the main road when I'm taking my kids to school, right, for me.
Oh, yeah, for many, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And just watching, the bottleneck happening and, People will speed right up and come right to the top of the lane and then expect everyone that's been waiting there to stop and let them in, And I'm thinking that's a little unfair. If we've been waiting here 5 minutes, why do you just speed up and get in within 2 seconds? No.
Donna, as a bus driver, I don't think I need to tell you. People will find a way around it no matter what. They'll find ways, their own little ways to skirt the rule, to get there a minute, 30 seconds earlier. And, we know how it goes. You're not getting that far in this city anytime quick. The best thing to do is just to pace yourself and leave early. But you said the key words. People are in their own little world. They absolutely are. And it's every man, woman, and child for himself out there on the roads these days.
Yeah, it's crazy. And just for these drivers, if you're listening to, Open Line this morning, keep in mind, when you're coming off a highway and you jump right in front of a bus, with a full load on, it could take up to 10 seconds for that bus to actually come to a complete stop. So you might be in a very precarious position up until that point. So keep that in mind, because we are required to go at least 10 kilometers below the speed limit as a commercial vehicle, but we still have to stop.
Yeah.
So at least have the common courtesy, put your indicator light on, give us enough time to slow down so you can get in front of us, if that's what you need to do. Because, heaven forbid anyone get behind somebody, But just figure I'd throw that out there, Brian.
No, Donna, I welcome your call. I remember the last time we spoke, I thought, geez, we got to work something out here that you could be a regular caller. Having a school bus driver to call in and tell us what you're seeing and remind us and just reinforce. Not that, I can't believe in this day and age we need to reinforce schools around the rules around school buses. If nothing else, for this safety. I've even, and I think often people say, they just don't have kids, they don't understand. That's not true. I've seen I've seen parents do what they got to do to get there on time, and hell with you. So,
and their kids are on your bus. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, and your kids
are on your bus.
Right. Yeah. Until the car in the same car that screams through your intersection because they're on the way somewhere. Next thing you know, you drive through their neighborhood and they're giving the finger at the fast cars. The hypocrisy knows no ends. And look, we just got to take a breath and realize, even if you don't have kids, my God, school buses. Really, do we really have to continue to? I guess so. When an actual school bus passes you, then we know we got even more bigger problems.
Yeah, no kidding.
But Donna, I really appreciate the call. Look, if you can be a regular, find time once a week, we'll make room for you.
I will do that for you, Brian.
God love you. Great.
Absolutely.
We'll mark it down. We got a regular.
Okay.
Thanks, Don. I really appreciate that perspective. We could use a reminder every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I hope you have a great day. Say hi to Dave.
Will do. Dave heard you. He's saying hi back.
Okay, great.
Okay, take care. Bye.
You too, Brian.
Bye. Okay, great call from Donna, school bus driver. We're going to do that on a regular basis, hopefully. Okay, we're going to take our first pause of the morning, and when we come back, the co-authors of the Health Accord NL, Dr. Pat Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth Davis, right after the break. And welcome back to the program. So, Dr. Pat Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth Davis are the co-authors of the Health Accord 2022. That, of course, was the 10-year plan to overhaul this province's health system, advocating for restructuring around the key social determinants of health, and, of course, the merger of the 4 regional health authorities. So, I want to welcome them to the program. Good morning, Sister Elizabeth.
Good morning, Brian.
And good morning, Dr. Pat Parfrey. How are you?
Good morning, Brian.
Thank you so much for making time today for the program. I'm going to dispense with all the formal introductions because with both of your resumes, we'd be here all day. And we don't have all day. We have about 15 minutes. But suffice to say, we'll declare you both as experts in the field and get right into it. Just as a reminder before we get going, that we do have a delay in case the language gets salty here, Sister Elizabeth. Okay, so let's talk seniors' health, because we all know many are listening, not to mention everyone else who benefits when we take care of our own, are the most vulnerable, having the appropriate place for them to age, and that just creates positive ripple effects throughout the system. Does it not? I'll go right to you, Sister Elizabeth. Would that be a fair assessment?
I think we need to be careful that we don't talk about older people as the most vulnerable, there are among older people, people who are vulnerable, but the majority of older people are healthy, that we are competent, that we have lived a long life, and we've learned through many experiences how to be wise. So how we even approach older people is really a very important learning for our whole society. Unfortunately, we often think of children as less than people and older people as used to be people. We're full, active, engaged members of the society. There are among us some who are more vulnerable, and we do not have a health system or even a community-based approach to how we see older people living fully, richly their lives in the community.
Absolutely. No, I certainly didn't mean to swath everyone with all seniors are vulnerable, because I know my mother is a very active and non-vulnerable 92-year-old woman right now, living life to the fullest, even into her 90s. So absolutely, I appreciate the clarification. Dr. Parfrey, I attended a Rotary event some time ago, and you certainly delivered some very eloquent and personal remarks regarding aging in place, as well as end-of-life care. Even your own personal views on how you might want to, live out your remaining days. Would you care to just, elaborate on a little of that and share some of what you shared at the Rotary meeting that day?
No problem, Brian. Well, I suppose know that I'm nearly 76, and I have 4 sons who are married in the city. I've thought about the end of life. I'm at the age of it. And I've spoken to them about it, and I've made clear my own personal beliefs, which were that I wanted to, when I became frail and incompetent in making decisions, that aging in place was important to me, but that I did not want my life extended by extraordinary means of therapy. And by those I meant being given antibiotics for fevers, or by giving intravenous fluids when I wasn't able to drink. And my expectation, and in discussing it with them, was so that they could understand what was in my mind, but that also that my objectives were met, and that they weren't superseded by somebody in the family who felt emotional about my departure. So that was really the piece around end of life, and the process of end of life that's present at the moment is not really used very much in this province, because the end of life directives, we should all fill them out, so that when the medical system sees us, that they are prepared to follow through on what our needs are and our objectives are.
Is it fair to say maybe sometimes we're a little, because we love our loved ones so much, maybe a little selfish, that we want to hang on as long as we possibly can, but that's, not always the best thing for, the individual themselves?
Well, it's much more about what the individual wants.
Yes.
And as a consequence, then I really strongly feel that we should be mature, and people who are coming to the end of their lives are quite capable of discussing what they would prefer and what they would want. But children and their parents may not be able to discuss such a sensitive matter, and they should discuss it. So my feeling about it really is that it's the person who's coming to the end of their life is the most important, and it's their opinions that you should be taking into account. And the medical system is set up to do as much as it possibly can without that type of direction. I suspect Sister Elizabeth has got a thought process around this as well.
Absolutely, and I was going to ask Sister Elizabeth too as well, on that point, as well as the Choosing Wisely recommendations that came out of kind of regarding geriatric and palliative care. The range of questions in that initiative that's for clinicians and that sort of thing. But absolutely, Sister Elizabeth, your thoughts?
I agree totally with Pat. Actually, I'm old enough to have been on the group who helped create the substitute decision-making legislation in this province. So we were very strong that we wanted every person in the province, while they were competent, to make out those directives. I'm also old enough to know that our congregation brought the first palliative care unit into Eastern Canada, at the time at St. Clair's, and now it's at the Miller Centre, to ensure that when someone is dying, they are able to die with proper support, in dignity, with their family around them, so that they can make sure that those last days on earth are days where the family and the person can be together in a very special way. So this has been a long time endeavor of our congregation and of my own personal views. I do think that we need to have the conversations with our family members that Pat spoke about, so everybody knows what the person's wishes are. But I also know that we also have to be supported in living our life to the fullest before we reach that stage. And we really don't have yet, although we're getting closer, I think, partly because of the health accord, we don't have a health system that recognizes having multiple chronic illnesses, as many older people have. We're more designed for individual acute care interventions. We're also not taking too seriously enough how to care for people with cognitive impairment. And that's part of an international effort I'm engaged in. How do we take care of sisters once they start to get dementia? And how do we allow people with cognitive impairment to still have their voice as long as they can? We don't do that well still in the health system, I'm afraid. We talk to the person's family member before we talk to that person. So we have a lot to come to terms with as a society about how older people are different from children or younger people, and how our systems need to be inclusive enough for all of us to be treated where we are, who we are.
Can you sort of put into perspective the progress we have made since the launch of the Health Accord? I know it was sort of a 5-year increment. The 5-year would be the implementation, and then the post years, being able to sort of catch up on what, turning upside down or correcting, the way we've always looked at health and the way, our numbers in this province are so much mortality and heart disease and all those other things. Trying to flip the switch on the way that gets us from the bottom of the list to a higher place of health, and the social determinants, making them the priority. How much progress have we made since this report was released?
Pat, you're best positioned to answer that question.
I do think that the major recommendation that we made was around that we had to become more aware and act upon implementation of actions that would influence the social determinants of health. And I think that awareness now is much greater than it was. I've just discovered that going around the province in various ways. So we're perfectly aware of the importance now of childhood poverty, food insecurity, good educational system, inclusion, housing, etc. Both the previous government and the current government have taken actions in those areas to try and enhance the actions on the social determinants of health. And of course, there's a lot more to be done, and it costs money, and there's a limited budget. But nonetheless, I believe that understanding is present now. It's not a new thought. Lalonde in 1975 felt that we had to, in the federal government, that we had to invest far more in the social determinants of health than we currently do. And the reality is that our spending on health in Newfoundland and Labrador has gone up by 230% over nearly a 40-year period, whereas the social spending has only gone up by about, it's flat over that period of time. The other piece, of course, is to reimagine and act upon making the integration of the acute care, the long-term care, and the community sector more effective. And there's been a fairly substantial amount of work done in that area in terms of trying to enhance community care through family care teams, improvement in virtual care, the ambulance system, and now the advent of the health information system, which will act to integrate the regions and integrate the acute care and the long-term care and the community sector as well. So that's all in the process of being implemented, and the reason that we said this is a 5-year plan for implementation but it's got a 10-year outcome is all these things have teething pains, and implementation is far harder than policy, and you're getting to a stronger system takes a lot more time than we're prepared to give it. So I do think there's been a substantial amount of progress, and I think that one of your questions was around what the seniors care component of that, and we have vestigial geriatrics, but it's improving, and we have more geriatricians than we had. We've got an acute care of the elderly unit in Connabrook and in St. John's for in the last few years, the one anticipated for Central, and there are more doctors or our family doctors are doing care of the elderly training and are scattered around the province. The reality is that for seniors, particularly over 75, the most important specialty they should have access to readily, both in the community and acute care, is geriatrics, because that is the area or the specialty that integrates all the specialties that Sister Elizabeth was just talking about. And they have the most understanding of how we come as we come to the end of our lives about what's not important and what's not important. So that investment in geriatrics is really, really critical, particularly in having its influence in the community side.
Dr. Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth, I just wish I had more time. We're already, that's 15, and, there is so much to talk about here. So, look, I appreciate you both making time for the program today. I know that when you first brought up some of these topics, and the very just in-your-face sort of end-of-life care and your personal experience, it took me that at least the awareness is out there, and these thoughts should be in people's minds, this kind of thinking. That really, the fact that so many people were surprised by the discussion that day didn't surprise me. I mean, it's the kind of thing that we should at least, we didn't have a whole lot of time here today, but at least it's in the consciousness. We're discussing it and keeping that conversation front and center. So I appreciate you making time. Between you, I believe there's over a century of in-depth experience and lessons learned with our province's healthcare system. And I think it would be much more than a shame if the current government doesn't heed your continued advice. So I thank you so much for all the work you've done for our province.
And thank you, Brian, for continuing the conversation. That is so important, that we have a society that is not ageist. So thank you. Absolutely.
Well said. Not that I need to tell you, because you're always well said. Thank you again, Dr. Parfrey, Sister Elizabeth. Have a great day. Take care, and hopefully we can speak again on the program.
Yes, bye-bye.
Take care. All right. Thank you again to Dr. Parfrey. So not busy at all. The fun we had yesterday trying to make sure that we lined that up okay. They're just not slowing down, that's for sure. Continuing to spread the expertise and the experience, which is so desperately needed for our healthcare system. All right, Dave, let's take our second break of the morning, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. Let's go to line number 2. And Sam, you're on the air.
Oh, good morning, Brian. Just give me a second. I pulls over here.
Yeah, that's always safe and good to do.
Yeah.
Where are you abouts, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm right here by Bellevue now. On my way back into St. John's.
Oh, Bellevue on the highway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep.
Okay, now I'm stopped. Brian, the reason why I just want to take a minute this morning, this should be a very exciting week for us, hopefully, or going to be a very disappointing week, because Minister Thompson, Joanne, did say that she was going to make a decision have it announced by the 15th of the month. And now we're getting so close, so I'm just hoping with my fingers crossed that this is going to be a really good decision come out for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to have to be able to go out every day with food fishery when you want to, and it's civil and everything, right? Instead of just weekends again. So I'm really looking forward. You almost like you got a lump in your stomach. You're wondering, which way this is going to go. Is it going to be really good news, or are we going to be disappointed, or what, right? But usually, as always, I try to stay very positive with everything, and I'm hoping that we are going to get some good news from her this week.
Yeah, anything else would be at their peril, I think, given that, they've acknowledged the response to the survey and the consensus of what we were really looking for, a little bit of equity with the maritime provinces and be able to get it when we want it, the way we used to be able to get it when we want it. Sam, what's your stake in it? How often do you partake?
I have a very large family, right? There were 17 of us in our own family, and I have people on the mainland that comes down from Alberta and comes down from Toronto, right? And they're always calling saying, when's the food fishery going to start? They want to try to book the holidays and stuff like that to try to get down.
Absolutely.
And not to have it just on a weekend, because last year I had people down from Alberta, and the weekend that they were here for, it was blowing a gale. They couldn't get out on the water at all. They left on a Monday. Tuesday, the water was like a rink, and smooth as anything.
Always the way, right?
Disappointed. Yeah, they were really disappointed that they didn't get out, right? So, and then there's a lot of seniors around right now that we always try to look after people that can't go out, get a few fish for them, right? And to put a bit of extra food on the tables for people. Absolutely.
Well, Sam, we wait with bated lines, or should I say bated breath, if I can use that pun. How about that one?
Indeed so, right?
And look, let's... go ahead. I'll let you wrap up there. I'm going to try to squeeze in another call.
Yeah, because I'm just excited for the wait for the announcement to come, because I do have the feeling that we are going to get some good news, so I got my fingers crossed for that, right? And really looking forward to the announcement this time.
Yeah, no pressure.
And I'll talk to you after the announcement is made.
Absolutely. Please give us a ring back. No pressure on the Fisheries Minister from Newfoundland on this one, that's for sure. Thanks for the call, Sam.
No. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, give a shout back after the announcement. All right, thanks a lot. All right, let's go to line number 3. And caller, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, Brian, just want to take a few minutes. I want to speak, this is Nurses Week, and I had a reason yesterday to be at the emergency. My sister was admitted there. And I'm going to tell you, those nurses, they deserve everything and more besides. And, they're just overworked, and I can't see how they can concentrate on the amount of work that they're doing. Like, they're missing their lunch breaks. They're missing working extra hours and everything like that, so my head comes off to them. And at the same time, this time last year, we were at the ICU unit. I had a brother there. Well, the results wasn't great there, but my head comes off, and I thanked them all so much for the work that they did. And the doctors also, like they had 3-day shifts, doctors did. And I'm telling you, those shifts were 24-hour shifts. So it's not the people we got working in the healthcare system. Please don't blame them. Throw a bouquet to them this morning, because they deserve it, and they deserve more and above in the respect that they get sometimes. But like the people in the quarters yesterday, double-side, people on both sides, some seniors, some not, losing their dignity, their respect. You know how it is, those hospital coats and all that kind of stuff. And the embarrassment of just being there, laying there, and people like me and my wife passing back and forth to go visit my sister. Boy, it's degrading. Couldn't they come up with some kind of a dormitory, cut 2 doors in one part of it, and just put a dormitory there or something like that, so you could take those patients and just put them out into a separate room? Even if it was something like the gathering place, Brian, that'd be more dignity and more better and more comfort. My God, with my blood pressure, if I was there, sure, he just wanted me to die anyway. I'd go out my head just being there. But anyway, but listen, I'm not going to do that this morning, Brian. What I'm going to say is I want to throw a bouquet and a thank you to every nurse, Newfoundland and Labrador, and all people in the healthcare sector.
On this being of course, during this being National Nursing Week, absolutely. And look, you said degrading. It's absolutely degrading and heartbreaking. We do not have the time and space to relate all of the stories that we receive here at VOCM regarding experiences. When you have no choice but to head to the ER and emerge into the hospital. And lately, with all the issues we've been seeing through core care and some of the, uptake with the training and trying to get the information into the systems and people trained up, and the apparent ripple effects that's having in the system with, the uptake that's going there and the work that's going to implement core care across the spectrum, and the complaints and the issues we've heard from doctors. Right now, it's not good. And, we're looking, as I just spoke to Dr. Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth, on the upswing, trying to implement the health accord and get things going. We're in a stagnation right now only because of the new system we're trying to implement, which, is going to take a while to, filter into the system and start seeing results. And until then, the gurneys, the people in the waiting, it's really horrific if you have to head over. It's really unfortunate. The quicker we find solutions to the transition and appropriate care for different sects of our society and humans, it's the quicker the better, because we have some real problems in our hospitals, and it is degrading and it is really heartbreaking. I'll give you a sector to wrap up, but look, the bouquet, as you said, nurses, the staff, they all deserve it. There's no question. It's not about them. The criticism.
If I only got a sector, that's okay. The other thing that I would like to speak about this morning, and this affects everything, healthcare, it helps all Canada. And right now, the government is working on a bill C9 to help to fight discriminatory and things like that across Canada, and I agree with that. But at the same time, I say to Mark Carney, our MPs and our MHAs in our own province across Canada, it's time for them to speak up and speak for the people of Canada. Like, Canada is turning into a country of hate. Before the year 2000, how many mosques and synagogues and things like that were shot up? This is hate. And we're losing Canada. We got provinces now that's basically lost, like Vancouver, for instance. Vancouver, it seems to me, and I have no disrespect, but it seems like the Canadian government took that from one group of Canadian Indigenous or Indian people, and they gave it to Middle East Indians.
Look, only because I'm past the break, and we had a good chat on the one topic. I've got a ton of callers that I got to get to, and that's why I was kind of hoping you might wrap it up. That's a big topic, I have to tell you. BC9, the Combating Hate Act, which I've been following as well through the system. That's a big topic that we can get into. But I've got callers and a break, and we'll try to get through as many. But when we try to squeeze too many topics into one chat, I just find that we lose the focus from that one. Listen, plenty of time. Call again on that topic, even this week if you want, because I feel bad ever interrupting anyone in the middle of a thought process. But trying to squeeze in two really serious and meaty topics like that in one call. I do my best, but of all the callers waiting in line, I'll try to get to them too. So let's take the next break and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. We just want to give our last caller one more chance just to finish a thought there. We were trying to make sure we hit all the targets here, but go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say to the people of Canada,
sure,
call your MHA, call your MP, and ask them to protect the people of Canada. Make it a better life here in Canada for grandchildren and children. And I expect the government of Quebec to lead the way in this, because they have been so far. Everybody else is just liable. And thank you so much for giving me that opportunity, and we'll call you again some other day.
Great. That's all I wanted to hear. Give us another shout on this and anything else that you may want to have a gab about. Thanks again.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay,
bye.
Take care. All right, right to line number 4, and let's welcome Yvonne Earle, member of the Avalon chapter of the Council of Canadians. You're on the air.
Thank you, Brian. And I was very interested to hear Dr. Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth talking. Of course, I followed the health court quite closely when there were public meetings, et cetera. And one of the recommendations that came out of the health court, 9.4, was that Newfoundland come under the pharmacare program. Now, at the point that the report came out, Canada didn't have a pharmacare act at that point, but in October 2024, we did get a pharmacare act, and the idea under that act was that Canadians from coast to coast to coast would be covered by a very limited pharmacare for diabetes, drugs and devices, and contraceptive medications and devices. And the idea was that we would do that and look at some of the data for how the pickup and some of the analysis of the impact on the healthcare system, and look at expanding the drug coverage to other frequently used drugs in sort of the Canadian healthcare, like blood pressure, that kind of thing. And that list of drugs would have been put together by an expert committee.
So I just wonder, I know you've heard the comments of the provincial health minister, Leila Evans, saying that feds had basically closed the door right now on additional participants in the National Pharmacare Program. And in fact, rather than calling it, a cut, because there seems to be some gray areas around whether or not this will be continued or not. They just say it's going to expire, but they're not talking anything beyond that. So rather than add anyone to it, what's your sense of where they're going to go with this?
Well, we were delighted to hear Minister Evans be quite unequivocal about the fact that this is not equity as it was planned under the Pharmacare Act. It was never supposed to be a sort of a temporary program. It was supposed to have been rolled out for all provinces and territories, and then it was the idea was that it would have been expanded. And if you look at the promises that the Liberal Party made just 1 year ago, April 2025, they said they would fully support pharmacare and its expansion to all Canadians. And in September, there was a meeting of the First Ministers in Edmonton. Because we'd seen very little action about continued rollout of pharmacare, there was a lobby there by healthcare advocates, and Mr. Carney again came out and spoke and said they would be rolling out the program and continuing to support pharmacare. However, in November 2025, when the budget came out, pharmacare was there, but there were no dollars allocated in the line. And that was a pretty good indicator that they were going back on their promise. And there has been a lot of follow-up by the Canadian Health Coalition and other groups like the Council of Canadians to try and get meetings with the minister to actually find out what's going on. But a good indicator it was to Newfoundland and Labrador to say that they would not start negotiating, even though our Premier had asked to do so. And the second one was that PEI, which is one of the provinces that has an agreement, was notified that in 2029, when that agreement expires, they will not be expanding it. So suddenly PEIers are getting the news that if they are covered for diabetes and contraceptives right now, come 2029, they probably are going to have to go back to paying for them themselves. And the research has been done that shows that if people don't take their meds or don't take them as they're prescribed, it comes back to haunt the Medicare system, because people become unwell, they end up back in hospitals, they end up with complications, and the cost of the healthcare system is considerably higher than if they had been supported by having their medications paid for. And we do have programs in Newfoundland that cover people, but they're all income tested, or there's one that's not income tested, but it's for a specific condition. And we know that low income and not taking your meds has a really detrimental effect on people's health. And there was a study done in 2024, and in 2024 it showed that 22% of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians were already not taking medications because they couldn't afford them. Well, we've had 2 years of having expanded growth or sort of costs going up exponentially, and drugs are one of the, people talk about food, they talk about housing, but drugs are another one of the ones that are going up. And so if people, I can imagine that it's way more than 22% of people now who can't afford to take their medications, and we just have to think about what the impact on the healthcare system is and what the impact on individuals is. Because if you're unwell, you can't be working, you can't be contributing to the economy, and you can't be contributing to your family.
Does the limited coverage of this, so-called national pharmacare program, can't really call it national because it doesn't include everyone, but is the scope of it and what it covers, does it lessen the value or the implementation of it? I mean, I'm not lessening the importance of diabetes treatments and insulin and metformin and all those other, the inhibitors and the contraception and all that sort of thing, but it is pretty limited, and does it lessen?
Very limited, and the reason that was a decision that was taken back when the Liberals and the NDP had their agreement in the House of Assembly. It was the NDP that was trying to get the Pharmacare Act passed in the same way that they got the Dental Care Act passed, and the Liberal the compromise they had to make was that to get any kind of an act passed in the House, that there would be a limit on the medications that would be the startup ones. And so that limit, it was sort of one of those bargains you make, right? You agree to have a very limited rollout, but you also, in the Act, there was the allowance for it to be expanded quite significantly. And actually, there was a committee struck to look at the further rollout of pharmacare and to give a list of drugs that the medical profession felt were sort of wide-ranging drugs used by quite a high proportion of the population. And that report was given within the 12 months as mandated to the minister. She received it, I think it was the end of October 2025, and that report has never been rolled out to the public. It is available, but it was never hyped and rolled out. And it indeed does recommend that kind of an expansion of the program.
Yvonne, go ahead. I'll let you wrap up. We're right at the news, so I wish we had more time, and we will some other time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, just to say, when the limits are for diabetes and contraceptives, but to say, 1 in 3 Newfoundlanders has diabetes. So that's a fairly high proportion of our population that would be directly affected if their medications and devices. And devices are really expensive.
Yes.
You can sometimes get the medications covered, but the devices, no.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of qualified and caveated this point that, not lessening the importance of what is covered, but it could be more. Yvonne Earl, I wish we had more time. There's a lot to this that we'll keep an eye on any indications from the feds and where they're going with it. Thank you so much for the time.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right, that's Yvonne Earl with the Council of Canadians, the Avalon chapter. Let's go to the news, and we'll be right back with your calls, including the leader of the NDP, Jim Dinn, Patricia Russell there, architect, talking prefab homes. And shortly, in the next half hour, we're going to talk to the Privacy Commissioner for the province of British Columbia, formerly of Newfoundland and Labrador, Michael Harvey, right after the news. And welcome back to the program. Let's go to line number 6. And Patricia, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian. How are you this morning?
Wonderful. Thank you very much for making time for the program.
Of course. No problem.
So tell me all about the Entrepreneur of Impact competition in 2 minutes or less. No, I'm just kidding. We're so pressed for time. We're a little pressed for time here today, but we'll get you.
So I have entered into the Entrepreneur of Impact competition simply because I want to be able to raise awareness of the housing crisis, but also the modular building system that I have invented, engineered, designed over the past 10 years with help from grants from the NRC, which is now supposed to be the most advanced modular building system in Canada. However, doing this largely by myself as a solo entrepreneur, I had some troubles raising money on the side of private equity. And I did run into some sharks. And so when I saw the Entrepreneur of Impact was being hosted by Damon John of the Shark's Tank, I thought, well, that might be a safe way to raise funds for my business. So I entered into it anyway, and I got the help of my hometown of Bona Vista and my entire family on both sides and my big sister, Kiri. And so the next thing you know, the whole town and my family and everybody is involved in voting for me. Now, some might say that it is not the most serious way to raise money, but you do what you have to do to raise awareness. There's a lot of positives that's come from this competition. Now, on to a more serious topic, though. The reason why I got involved in this is because when I finished architecture school, I could see that there was a lot of mismanagement within the construction industry when it comes to time, waste, cost. So the technology that I've developed, a full building system from structure, connections, panels now, is I'm setting it up to be manufactured across Canada with Bailey Metal Group of companies owned by Saint-Gobain, which is a huge company. Now that can be distributed to builders throughout Canada and licensed rather than me having to build, all these modular buildings and assemble them all myself.
Right.
So the benefit is that it goes together quicker with less skill and less time, but it's on par with building cost and is highly energy efficient. Now, this is so much needed across Canada and around the world because of the housing crisis. When you look at the StatsCan report that came out just about a week ago, 16.3% of millennials in 2021 lived with parents compared to 8.2% of baby boomers in 1991. We're looking at also the fact that the cost of housing in Canada has skyrocketed relative to wages, and lower-end home costs have increased by more than 200% since 2024. That's huge, Brian. So
absolutely. And Patricia, the feds came up with the Accelerator Fund for housing. We know the housing crisis is beyond real. I just got to try to squeeze in another call. So if you want to just wrap it up and just give me a little bit more detail on the competition and when people can tune in and see it.
Yes, so I would direct people to, and if anybody has a pen, start writing now. That's entrepreneur-of-impact.org/2026/Patricia-2 and vote for me, because I would really like to be able to get my technology out there to serve Canadians.
And just because that's a little bit of a long and tangly one, in case people didn't have a pen or a pencil, if anyone wants that information, they can give us a shout here and we can pass it on along. Patricia, I'm so sorry we couldn't speak a little bit more, but I think you got it out there. And if anyone wants that link to be able to watch your progress, they can give us a shout right here. Good luck.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Dave, line number one. Okay, right. The patient and leader of the NDP in Newfoundland and Labrador, Jim Dinn, and the MHA for St. John's Centre. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for having me on, and congratulations on being the permanent host of Open Line.
Thanks, Jim. I really appreciate it from everyone. Yeah, and the laugh afterward is due as well. That makes perfect sense. I don't know what I got myself into here.
Oh, well, I was going to say that, but I leave that to you to decide.
I wish we had more time, but we'll have to continue another. But go for it. Let's get into a topic there real quick.
Very quickly, with regards to the pharmacare, I listened to Yvonne Earle, and this is the issue I was calling in on. But I'll put it from our point of view that this is a failure on the part of not only the federal government, but both our provincial parties, the Liberals and the PECs. I do not think there is not an appetite for Newfoundland to sign on to this. I think we missed the boat. I think it gave the federal government the opportunity or the reason to say, well, maybe there's not enough pickup, so this is a program we can cancel. We've written the current the premier back in November to push this, and it was part of our campaign and so on and so forth. But I'm looking here at a news article back in November, which the premier touts the fact that we're back in the oil business. He's heading to Ottawa to demand that Prime Minister Kennedy more or less make the Bay du Nord a major project of national interest to make sure we get the national defense contracts. But what's missing from all of the everything in that whole, I guess, post-election period is the need to sign on to enroll Newfoundland and Labrador into the pharmacare program. And in many cases, the response I've heard from both the Minister of Health, from the Premier, has been pretty tepid. That said, and again, I put the blame on them for this, is that what's the plan going forward in terms of Yvonne made it very clear, and what we've encountered in our office, people are not taking their medications. It's having repercussions in their health. It's having repercussions in increased costs to the healthcare system, to maybe unnecessary amputations and so on and so forth. And so my point here, one of the things we want is, since you did not push hard enough, what is the plan right now to make sure that people have access to these medications, especially in a province where we have the highest diabetic rates of diabetes across the country? What are we going to do to make sure that people remain healthy, that the cost to the healthcare system is not burdensome? What are we going to do to, if nothing else, to make sure that the tenets of the health accord are followed, that we look at overall the social determinants of health and make sure people don't need to go into a hospital? So from our point of view, it's now on the provincial government to come up with a plan. In the meantime, until we find out what really is going to happen to pharmacare, it's on the provincial government here to make sure that people can afford their medication. And a lot of them are seniors, people on fixed incomes, and people on reduced incomes, people who do not have health care plans. That's the key. That's the key message we have here, and demand for this government.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of people appreciate the frankness, the openness, and the bluntness of the health minister in saying that we know where she stands and the frustration that they're having. Jim, only because of the time on the clock, let's talk again. Thanks for the call.
No problem. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. And quickly to line number 4, Jessica Peddle, with the NL Nurse Practitioners Association, the president of SAME. During this National Nursing Week, you're on the air.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I wish we had more time, but go for it.
So I just want to wish, our nursing colleagues a happy Nurses Week. Nurse practitioners do have their own week in November, but we definitely didn't want this week to go by without recognizing our very important nursing colleagues.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, look, I just, on the top of my mind was just the way the role has changed for nurse practitioners in this province. The move to try to, whether it's incorporate other duties that came from nurses, or the crossover, the overlap of trying to share the workload, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. How has that changed in the past couple of years, just in the sense of the whole picture of nursing of LPNs in general?
Well, I can't really speak to LPNs. I can really only speak to, the growth that nurse practitioners have, made in the last couple of years. I feel like we've made huge strides. We just recently got a funding model in place in accordance with the Canada Health Act. So I feel like that is huge for our province and for the patients. Patients no longer have to pay for primary health care services from a nurse practitioner. That improves access to primary health care providers, decreases pressure on the emergency department, supports rural and underserved communities. And, it gives us formal recognition of nurse practitioners as primary health care providers.
What kind of numbers, are in rural?
I don't have the exact numbers, to be honest, Brian, but I do know there are several nurse practitioners who are opening up their practices in rural Newfoundland to better service that population. Right, and given, the changes that the government has made with regard to that and being able to bill. Look, Jessica, I appreciate the call. Is there anything you want to wrap up with? We're just a little bit past the break, but I didn't want to give you too short shift. No, I appreciate the time and the recognition, and open to any other calls in the future if you want to talk about anything. Yeah, if nothing else, to make sure the awareness of this, it should never be passed by without, recognizing. And you hear the calls too. It's not the people are frustrated with the system, but not the staff, the frontline staff, the people we have in the system, the nurses, the nurse practitioners, the doctors, everyone else doing their yeoman's work while we try to navigate a flip the switch of our healthcare system. Thanks so much. And yes, let's talk again on all the issues as they arise. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, after the break, then we're back with the Privacy Commissioner for the province of British Columbia. Michael Harvey is there in the queue, and I appreciate his efforts this morning, because not only that, Mr. Harvey is calling from the West Coast where it's a little early there, and we'll talk about that right after the break. And welcome back to the program. As promised, let's go to line number 3. And welcome to the program, the Privacy Commissioner for the province of British Columbia, formerly for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, the one and only Michael Harvey. Good morning.
Hi, Brian. Morning to you.
Great to
speak. And I should say congratulations on the new job.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. I think I was pushing a microphone in front of your face when you were back here, but I've hung that one up now. And look, I would apologize profusely for getting you up so early. You're on the West Coast are you in Vancouver?
I'm Victoria.
In Victoria,
we're early risers here. People on the West Coast try to keep a little bit in line with people in the rest of the country. but it's my par for the course for your posture, though. I mean, go. In fact, I even offered a later time, but no. Let's do it at 5:45 your time. So I appreciate it. I'm not sure how closely. Look, there's so much we could talk about here. The OpenAI the OpenAI report that was released recently by yourself and the federal privacy commissioner, committed to protecting Canadians' personal information. But in this age of artificial intelligence, I can't imagine you ever thought it would change to this extent in the past decade. Did you see all of this coming, and how has the role for privacy commissioners changed in the age of AI and ChatGPT and all of the fallout? Yeah, I remember when I was in Newfoundland and Labrador, and these issues were emerging. That we saw this problem coming down the line, and the reason why is because the privacy principles that inform our laws across the country and really around the world are based on the idea that organizations, whether they're public sector or private sector organizations, should collect as little information as they can about us to do what they need to do. Any organization, whether it's public or private, can only collect people's personal information if they have legal authority to do it. And when they do it, they should collect as little as possible. The problem with artificial intelligence applications like OpenAI's ChatGPT, which a lot of people are using and is becoming like other large language models integrated into our daily life, is that they need to be trained on large amounts of data. And so that was really the focus of our investigation into OpenAI and this application, ChatGPT, is how it took all of that information and how it scraped it off the internet, and did it have the legal authority to do it? And we found that it didn't. And in the case of BC, we found that it still doesn't. And so that puts our privacy laws at odds with artificial intelligence and how it's being used really in many aspects of our society and economy.
The metaphor, the phrase I keep coming back to is the horse left the barn, and we're in catch-up mode. I mean, it really feels like this has gotten away from us, no matter who you speak to, whether it's the initial authors and inventors of AI and on the rest of it. And then you see the tragic outcomes, such as, and I don't need to tell you, it's in your backyard, of Tumbler Ridge. and the information that's coming out regarding OpenAI there, as well as a similar shooting in the United States at Florida State University. Those are just two small examples, but on a larger scale, is there any way to put, and again, another one, put the toothpaste back in the tube? I mean, how do we catch up? How do we get a hold of it? What you uncovered, the federal Privacy Commissioner and other provinces is one aspect, but we know there's so much. You must know there's just so much going on out there that are we able to keep track of it?
Yeah. So, listen, Brian, it is difficult, I imagine, to put toothpaste back in tubes. I've never tried. I wouldn't bother. But occasionally people do get their horses back in the barn, right? And
yes.
Certainly I don't think anyone who's lost their horse is just going to give up. And you talk to people, and I've been talking to people as long as I've been in this line of work, who say, privacy is over. That's a thing of the past. Nobody has any privacy anymore. And I think but the fact that you're calling and asking me to come and talk to you today, and the fact that I've been doing that so often over the years is an indication that people are not happy that their privacy is invaded, and they want to do something about it. And so there is good news. The good news is that over the course of this investigation, we managed to get OpenAI to commit to doing a whole range of things to improve its privacy practices. And so even though in the case of BC we have a fundamental incompatibility between the law and the way that OpenAI works, at the federal level, my federal colleague found that in fact the OpenAI's practices were improved enough to bring it in line with their law. Now, we both agree, federally and provincially, that law reform is necessary. And the law reform is necessary because not only do organizations need the proper legal authority to be able to collect the information, but we need to make sure that we have the right guardrails in place for the modern era. Guardrails like rules for organizations, whether public or private, on how they collect and govern personal information, and rules that provide offices like mine and like my federal colleagues with the proper tools to be able to do effective oversight on organizations so that people can trust that their personal information is being handled properly, and that there's people out there looking out for them, and that they have recourse if they feel that their privacy has been invaded.
And we know there's a larger conversation going globally in the United States right now regarding Mr. Sam Altman and OpenAI and the congressional hearings. And the power that the government in the United States would have to overrule anything and to have complete control over the Anthropic, I guess, is what we were talking about there. But how much do you, or how much of an understanding do you have of the province of British Columbia and how much that government uses AI itself in its larger, I'm sure there are staff using it for the minor, information on the spot, but as far as drafting legislation and incorporating bills and getting the necessary accurate information to be able to compile and make new legislation, is there a concern that it's gotten? How much are governments using it? Are you confident that there's enough oversight to ensure that, say, for example, there are not false citations in reports and other things that have happened in this province and elsewhere?
Yeah. So I'll say, Brian, that every organization in the public sector in British Columbia, and I wouldn't think that we're at all unique in this, because I talk to colleagues across the country and around the world, but every public organization feels the need to use every tool that they have and every tool that's available to them to increase service provision to the public. I can tell you that is not only true for public organizations that are under my mandate out here, it's true for me myself. My numbers of the complaints and requests for review that are coming to our office keep going up and up and up. And we talk to colleagues across the country, they're seeing the same thing. So everyone is facing the pressure, the pressure to do better for the citizens that they serve. And so everyone is looking to these tools to figure out how can we do better with less? How can we do more with less? And there's a big pressure. So I will say here that the government has been consulting us on its use of artificial intelligence and how it needs to change rules. I've issued and actually even before me, my predecessor also issued joint guidance with the Office of the Human Rights Commissioner and the Ombudsperson here on how to make sure that artificial intelligence in the public sector is not only privacy protective, but also fair and respects human rights. So that collaboration is ongoing, and it's really important to keep it up. I'm optimistic that we can get to a place where people can feel that they can have trust and innovation in their public sector, just like I'm optimistic that we can get to a place, that same place in the private sector. But it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of chasing around those horses to get them back in the barn. I'm
sensing some positivity from you. I don't get a lot from other people who are, certainly nervous for everything from war games to, just the Power School report that just came out here in this province regarding the hack of the Power School system by a 19-year-old in the United States. It feels like there's not a lot of confidence in the powers that be right now to get a handle on it. It just seems to be out of control. But if that's the wrong, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but when there are reports every day of new implementations of AI that people just weren't aware of and are changing systems as we speak. But Mike, you know what? I'm going to give you a minute just to wrap up our chat. I wish I had more time. Open line is that beast. So, but I won't dwell on that. Just to wrap up on it, what should people know about AI from sitting in your perch as the Privacy Commissioner from British Columbia, one of the largest provinces in the country? What are other lessons learned for the rest of the provinces and the country?
Well, certainly the conclusion of our investigation was that OpenAI was not then when we investigated, and it is not now compliant with BC law. That doesn't mean that there aren't things that people can do to keep themselves and protect their privacy, keep themselves safe, protect their privacy when they're using a large language model like OpenAI. And we put a tip sheet on our on our website for people to use. I think that if people are in Newfoundland and Labrador are interested in it, they can go to our website to the Office of the Information and Privacy Commissioner in British Columbia. So people should know that there are, across this country and around the world, there are people looking to do the things necessary to improve people's privacy online and reform the laws in the necessary way to protect people's privacy online. Of course, one of those is your very own Carrie Hatfield, Commissioner in Newfoundland and Labrador. I watched with great interest her release of that Power School report yesterday. I think that's a great piece of work. And Commissioner Hatfield and I will actually be doing a joint session today for the Newfoundland and Labrador branch of the Canadian Bar Association. So again, that's what I'd leave with your listeners today, Brian, is that there are people out there who are working to advance these issues. The horses are out roaming around, but I believe that they can be put back in the barn, and that the farm can continue working for the interests of everybody.
That is somewhat reassuring, I will tell you that, coming from, I was going to say the horse's mouth to continue on that phrase. Michael Harvey, the British Columbia Privacy Commissioner, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. It's a great throwback hearing your voice again. And great to hear that there's some, today even, at the Bar Association, that this province and yourself, Ms. Hatfield and yourself, are going to be consulting with that and part of that. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that for sure as well. Thank you so much for getting up early and making time for us today.
Anytime. Take care, Brian.
Wonderful. Take care of yourself. Thanks. That is Michael Harvey, the Privacy Commissioner for British Columbia, and of course, former Privacy Commissioner for Newfoundland and Labrador. Let's see. We got some calls in the queue. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the show. Right to line number one, and caller, you're on the air.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning to you. I'd like to speak about the rent going up.
Yes, sure. I'm you, and I imagine many others. Go right ahead.
Yes. This is a big thing for me. I'm retired. I had an injury at the job. I can't go to work no more. So I'm on a fixed income. I am getting old age, and CCP from work. And my rent was put up. I had to go away last year for 3 months. So when I come back, they put my rent up to $170 because I wasn't here. It's on the lease.
They put it up by $170?
$170.
Yeah. So that's on top of what's the total rent then now?
The total rent here now is $1,245 as of June the 1st.
And what does that include?
Well, heat linked.
Okay.
1 bedroom.
$1,245 for 1 bedroom.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask where roughly you're living? Don't have to be too.
I'm in East End.
Oh, in East End of St. John's.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay,
all
sorry.
I'm saying.
Go ahead, yeah. So, yeah, go ahead, please. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to get an idea of location and just kind of a picture of where you are and what you might be facing. You say you went away for a period of time. So
I had to go away because of a big reason, okay? I don't want to get into that.
No, that's fine. But you did leave for a period. So is this a subsidized unit? Is it housing? Is it private dwelling? Is it...
No, it's not supposed to be. But I did call the housing and told them that my rent has gone up to $1,245. And as of last year, I was paying over $900. That was my, that was my senior's income.
That was your rent or your senior's income? So
my senior's income, like, I'm senior, okay?
Right.
So the senior's income took the rent.
Got you. Okay, I understand. So it took the whole lot of it.
My old age, okay? We go with old age.
Okay.
Now it's going up to $1,245.
And who do you pay your rent to?
I can't say that.
Okay, but it's not, you don't pay directly to housing.
My rent comes, no.
Okay.
My rent comes totally out of my bank account.
Okay, and it goes to the owner of the premises.
Right.
Okay, and is this...
I don't want to get into that, right? But I wanted to make this public.
Sure.
What's going on here?
You mean just generally the non-increase in your pension and the increase in rent, one outpacing the other?
Right.
I will say that, and just as a generalized statement, and again, we don't want to get into you don't want to get into too many of the specifics, and I completely appreciate that.
No, I don't.
No, I understand that. I guess the point here is, the increase that doesn't keep pace with your, the hard work and the retirement income that you should have, including CPP. How long did you work? You just recently retired, and then there was the injury, or the injury was the retirement was as a result of the.
I just went I'm retired on because I got hurt on the job.
Okay. So it was an early retirement. Early retirement as a result?
Yeah, I had to retire. I had to give up. They wouldn't take me back.
Are you receiving anything from workers' compensation, or did you qualify for any of that?
No, because I was at the beginning, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But when I turned 65, they don't give you anything, right?
Understood, yeah. The red tape part of this, I understand.
I'm still with workers, but workers will give me a wheelchair or a walker or, anything like that.
Where does it leave you with, and I don't want to call it walking around money, I mean with money for the essentials, such as food?
I don't need a whole lot anyway. I don't need food, I don't need good stuff. I'm 69 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with that, I don't go to the food banks. I try not to do that.
Yeah, none of us, no one really wants to have to go to a food bank, but we hear every day that people and the food bank, community food sharing, these organizations will tell you they're seeing people they never thought they'd see, and people who are walking in who thought they'd never be the ones to walk in. But reality is a harsh thing right now with the cost of living. It doesn't matter who you are. People are eating less, period, and they're buying less, period. They're just buying the essentials, things you need, as opposed to, I'll get that extra thing or this extra thing. It's just, it's real. There's no question it's real.
It really is.
Caller, I guess, what do you, have you made any kind of... representation, or have you approached the owners of the premises? Is there any opportunity here for, some leeway or some grace period or something? Or how long has the increase been in? So it's about a $300 increase since last year. Is that right?
Right. And I was talking to Sheila O'Leary about it. When Sheila O'Leary was trying to get I was talking to them out in the hallway here, because they were in the hallway here. And Sharon, I'm going to try to do just the best I can for you. I said, Sheila, this is a bit much, $170, because I was gone away. Now, I never signed a lease, and they won't let me. Now, this is the other thing I got to tell you. They won't let me sign a lease no more. I said to her, why? I called this person over that's dealing with this place.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how come? I said, I can't sign a lease anymore. I said, I can't sign a lease. I'm there 11 years, and I was on lease. Oh, she said, you're not signing a lease. She said, because you might have to go in the home. So we got you on month to month.
For them to make that assumption seems just wrong for anyone. To not knowing your personal circumstances, who knows who could end up in a home? But I mean, it just use that as an excuse of some kind. There's a lot here that I guess I'm trying to fill in some blanks, especially why there'd be this increase of $170 just because you were gone away. But I know there's not a lot you want to get into. Only because of the time on the clock, I would welcome more of a chat about this when we have more time. It's good to hear Sheila O'Leary, the MHA, was there, because they have access to what you may or may not be able to. I mean, they can make a deeper dive into what you may or may not be able to qualify for beyond this, or at least to maybe lobby or advocate on your behalf before the Landlord and Tenancies Board. Or, we know that there are a lot of situations where people's rents are being hiked up, and it may or may not be justified, and may or not be fair, and it may or may not be legal. But only given the time and the clock, I've really got to get to the next, get to that break. Thanks for the call, and please don't be a stranger. Keep us updated, and if there's anything else you hear from Sheila or any other information you want to share about this, because, again, you are not alone by a long shot. All right, we got coming up to the 11 o'clock. We're going to take that short break, come back with Austin. Let's talk about Marine Atlantic, and Katie Temple with the Western Environmental Center. We will be right back. And welcome back. Let's join Katie Temple with the Western Environment Center on line number 4. Good morning, Katie. You're on the air.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being available. Let's talk weeds.
Yes, well, we have a workshop happening tonight called The Secrets of Weeds.
The Secrets of Weeds. Please, do tell.
Well, we run a full food skills workshop series. We run between 15 and 20 workshops on different kinds of food skills for the whole year. This time of year, of course, everyone's starting to think about gardening. Mm-hmm. So what we try to do is show people how to garden in a way that actually works with the ecosystem that they're in. And by doing that, it actually creates less work for them as a gardener. So when it comes to weeds, of course, normally we think of them as like plants we want to get rid of. We don't want them in the
they got a
places
bad
that they
rep.
are.
Real bad rep.
They do. Yeah, of course. They have a bad reputation. And even the language we use, we call them aggressive. We say they're choking everything out. But really, a lot of it is that we don't understand what they're telling us. And so that's why we call this workshop The Secret of Weeds. So what is it that they're trying to communicate to us about our soil health? And often what weeds are trying to do is actually remediate soil that has some issues that maybe is struggling. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you see creeping buttercup, any kind of weed that's kind of growing across the soil and trying to hold on to the soil, that's actually preventing erosion. In nature, when you look around, in meadows and forests, anywhere, you're never going to see bare soil. And so when we as gardeners have all of our soil bare, we're not covering it up, we're just trying to, put some delicate vegetable plants in, but then we're not protecting the soil and we're not creating a healthy soil ecosystem, then we're really going to get weeds popping up, because really they're trying to protect the soil. They're trying to prevent it from washing away and blowing away, from drying out. And so depending on where the weeds are and the type of weeds, they are doing a lot of things to actually help protect the soil. So we really need to figure out what is it that they're trying to tell us.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. It's fascinating. I'm just going to say, you and the Beekeepers Association must get together on the No Mow May. I kind of think of them, saying that the weeds are important, and for bees. But I mean, the deeper dive into what's actually going on there under the ground. We just look at weeds; they're gross, they're ruining my lawn. So much more to it than that. But you do have this coming up. This Secrets of Weeds. It's this evening, correct?
Tonight. Yep, it's happening this evening, 7 p.m. in Corner Brook. So this is for anyone in the Corner Brook region. They can find out more information on our website, which is wecnl.ca. They can Google Western Environment Centre. All the info is there on our events page. And they could also email me as well, info@wecnl.ca. And there's all kinds of information there about the kinds of things we do, because we offer not just our food skills workshop series, but lots of different community food programs here in Corner Brook and in the region.
Katie, I'm just curious. So you're in Corner Brook, are you?
Yes, we are in Corner Brook.
Can you look out your window right now?
Yep, I can.
What's it doing out? Is it good for gardening?
Today is actually a little bit of a chilly day and some rain, but all of our snow has melted. The soil is definitely thawing out. So I've started gardening myself. It's definitely the time to start thinking about it for sure. And there is some seeds actually you can start putting in the ground even now. There's some things that don't mind a bit of cool weather, that like the cool and wet. And of course, as we're getting into early June, then it's definitely going to be time to getting out there and getting your hands in the soil.
This kind of information and sessions are critical. Look, people are looking at alternate food, sources of food, and the words escaping me right now, but just the homesteaders, and people who want to grow their own produce and just learn about the soil before you actually get into the processes. This stuff is great. I really appreciate your time. Tonight, 7 p.m. One more time, and how people can easily log on if they can't be there in person.
For sure. So it is an in-person workshop, but they can find out all the information on our website, wecnl.ca, on the events page.
Perfect. Katie Temple, thank you, the Executive Director of the Western Environment Centre. Happy growing, happy weeding, happy, hopefully great turnout tonight, and lots of information to be shared. Thanks so much again for your time.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Okay, right on the 11 o'clock hour, let's take the news and back with your calls after the news.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
And off we go to hour 3 of Open Line for this Hump Day, Wednesday. Austin on line 2, you're on the air. Good morning, Austin.
Good morning.
I think I can hear your radio in the background. It might trip us up a little bit if you wanted to just give her a little down on the volume there, just so it doesn't, because we have that.
I got it located now, Brian.
Yeah,
hey, Brian.
Right. Yes, sir.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Listen, you're doing a good job. I got to say one thing, is that I used to always say to Patty, there's a lot of fellows who can go mate Patty, but there's only a few fellows who can go skipper.
That's a good say.
Yeah, how's Patty doing? Good?
He's good. We haven't had talk lately. We talked over Christmas and a few other times.
Yeah, you got to tell your audience. Don't be shy. Call in.
You got it, and that's what we rely on. Absolutely. And when you said welcome aboard, that seems appropriate because you want to have a chat about Marine Atlantic.
Yes, right. Yeah, I don't think Marine Atlantic is ready for the influx of passengers this year.
Well, they're chock full at the moment. I mean, the numbers are up, the rates are down, and we don't have enough vessels.
That's what I'm getting at. It's too bad, because there's a lot of towns are depending on Marine Atlantic. The passengers come to their town, but we got things against us. The gas has gone up. Our gas now at over $2.10 a liter. That's pretty high for a lot of people coming in. That's going to steer a lot of people away. I've heard some of the mayors on your show talking about may slow down their tourists this year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You would think so, of course. But again, bookings are up. There are wait lists, for many of for the ferries that are on. And of course, there was a new ferry announced earlier this year. But at the time, it was acknowledged that it might not be able to come on or be ready on stream until the fall. Right. I've been meaning to check in with Darryl Mercer at Marine Atlantic on that as to whether or not the new ferry would be here. If they thought it might be able to get on the runs for the summer, but I never did see a follow-up on that and whether or not that's the case.
You had Darryl on talking about that, so he's the right guy to talk to about that.
Oh, sure. Yep. As well as...
He was on story. I don't think he's very knowledgeable of that racket, right?
Well, and as well as that business coalition, which includes Hospitality in Newfoundland and Labrador, Municipalities NL, Land Chamber of Commerce, they have a committee that they've been lobbying hard with Ottawa to try to get, some kind of extra capacity in the short term on that run, because we're missing out.
Big time, because I got friends that goes across on Marine Atlantic, and they said, and anyway, they told me they can't get across till September.
Yeah, not surprised. I'm hearing that all the time.
And they're regular users.
And then you have the commercial trucking. I mean, it knows no ends. This is a constant, repetitive issue. We've never been served properly by that service.
What I don't understand, why is it so long to get the new vessel on the go? They better they got her painted and that already, right? Are they going to put leaf carriers in place of her? While we're waiting?
The fifth. Let me see now if I can remember correctly. So the Highlanders, okay, wait a minute. Let me try to run back to this and try to remember all of the various vessels, because I'm trying to do it off the top of my head, but no, I better look it up and see if I can find it. I had a note to myself here about this. The Highlanders, the Blue Petits, and the Alisawinu. Those were the three. Then we add this new one this year, the fourth one, the Stena Row, they call it, roll on, roll off. And that would be on this year. So that would be the A Napita, I believe is the correct pronunciation. That would be the fifth vessel. That would be the fourth vessel this year, and they're asking for a fifth. That's one of the demands. Just to be able to meet the demand, let alone try to take the extra passengers that we're getting.
So Brian, what I'm saying to you, can't it load and go for summer months? Try to get right? They can do that. They can go off from Port Vassal to North Sydney in 5 hours.
I would suspect, and I've seen this and mentioned before, the capacity levels on these larger vessels, requires a lot more. The load is not just a short load. When you're loading all the different varied, whether it is the commercial traffic, the traveling public, and various others, the walk-ons and all the other issues they have. It's not like the Bell Island Ferry or anything, of course, roll on, roll off, and just load and go. It's a much more complex system than...
Yeah, I know. I spent 5 years with Marine Atlantic. I know about their transportation.
You worked with them?
5 years, yeah.
What did you do?
I went there as a steward, and I ended up with a deckhand.
Okay, so you were on which ferry were you normally traveling on?
Oh, many moons ago.
Yeah, so that'd be what, the Joseph and Clara or the Caribou?
No. William Carson, Paddy Morris.
Oh, you're back those days, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you've been around.
We've done the same thing then.
Yeah, times have changed dramatically, especially...
Oh, I know what changed, yeah. But the ships are better, they're faster.
Mm-hmm. The question.
So it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and they just need the capacity. And in one
there are only 5 winter ships now. They don't go out after 30-mile-an-hour wind. You won't go out. When I left Port of Bass years ago, right? You didn't know you were going to get across the Gulf. Blizzard, fly winds, but we made it out, back.
Oh, I was
but
on.
Now, what do you want to do? I think a lot of it now is with marine land, just this wind racket. It's just save on oil, and that's all it is.
Maybe, Austin, but by my quiet moments, I was on my daughter and I were on the white knuckle ride there a couple of years ago. Boy, oh boy, it was July, and it was the roughest ride we've ever been on, and we were actually stuck outside Port of Basque for close to 4 hours, just rolling in the waves, waiting for a window of opportunity to dock.
Yeah, when I was at it, we wouldn't go out, like weighing around Port, we'd go up to the Pile Bay, but an hour from going to the Pile Bay, go in the harbour, beautiful down there, right? Just the same as you was in the living room. And then when the wind dropped in Port Bass, we go on in.
Yeah.
That's all to it. But you don't do none of that stuff.
Austin, only because I'm coming up to the break, I will say this. When they decided to move, to lower the rates last year, great. But you wonder if there was enough coordination between the repercussions of lowering the rates and the extra passenger influx that would come with it, and whether or not we had the capacity to meet it. It just seems that maybe one came before the other when it should have been the other way around. I don't know.
The influx, that's what got to it. The price dropped down. This is what made things busier, right?
And we want them. We want the numbers. My goodness.
But we don't. I'm saying that we're not ready for it, and it's too bad in marine land to have people to do that. They got the crews and all this. That's not a problem. It's the schedules and get the people on there and bring them back and forth. I don't seem like that's overrated.
Yeah.
They also employees in their office in there, lower employees, but Jeff got no way to get this on the go.
The new vessel, though, Austin, it's got to undergo those modifications, and I thought there might have been some discussion about the actual port of Basque as well, work that needed to be done there, along with crew training and that sort of thing. I'm going to check in. I appreciate these calls because there's so much going on that it's hard to remember all of the issues sometimes, but when your caller like yourself comes on to bring this one up, it reminds me to give a shout out to Marine Atlantic and Daryl just for an update to see on the progress of that.
Mercer's a good guy. I like him.
Great guy.
Yeah, he's a good fellow. He knows what he's talking about, and and he's been at this for a long time. So right, but then again, it's all due to the politicians, right?
Well, the people holding the power, absolutely.
Yeah, the politicians got the bank book.
It's not up to Daryl whether or not we get a new vessel, although I'm sure he'd love to.
Daryl, what I was saying to you is that the politicians got the bank, they got the cash, okay?
Yep.
So these are the people who got it, right? So I don't understand why these boats are not like they should be, but I don't, Daryl was the one who can speak on that anyway, right?
Well, as you mentioned, the answer to all, you mentioned they got the money, and the answer to all our questions really, really, really is money when it comes right down to it. Austin, I got to get to the break. Thanks for the call.
It's nice talking to you, Brian.
You too. Let's do it again.
Sure.
Okay, take care. Okie dokie. Let's get off to that next break and back. Well, we got 3 or 4 lots of great callers in the queue. We'll just get back to them after break. Welcome back. Let's go to line number 3. And Mary, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations, Brian. Your open line song hit the right chord. I from my perspective.
Appreciate that very much. Thank you for that throwback last Friday. Appreciate that.
Yes. It was good to hear Sister Elizabeth and Dr. Parfrey this morning and their words of wisdom, which I'm sure or at least I hope there'll be more. What I took from their comments included, like, seniors are similar to the total population. They're all unique, and as any of the population, some are frail and vulnerable. And the health system is geared more towards acute care than the chronic illness and prevention. And the importance of the determinants of health and the provision of a healthy outcome. Having said that, my feeling is that we should all, or anyone that can, should speak out when we see that the health system is moving in the opposite direction of emphasizing the determinants of health, which culminates in as healthy an outcome as possible. And having said that, then I have a couple of thoughts which has come to my attention recently.
Yes, please, share.
Government has implemented a new Department of Seniors. I personally had to make a request to the Department of Health regarding a health issue, and I was told I was referred to the Department of Seniors, which to me is really weird, to say the least. Anyway, again, I'm just wondering, is there a move to place all long-term care, including the personal care homes, the nursing homes, the community care, to the Department of Seniors? We know that now the personal care homes are not required to hire health care trained staff. And we also know that just by their definition, the residents in the personal care homes have an impairment in at least one of the determinants of health. And you would think that they would try to reverse this and have trained personnel required for personal care homes where you have such a target of most likely chronic illnesses. And then the other thing that I've heard recently, that there's and I mean it is known that there's been some advocating that there be a need for an independent health advocate to assist the public in getting answers or resolutions to their increasing number of complaints. And I'm sure you're aware of that.
Very intimately.
But now I'm hearing that the Seniors Advocate Agency may be given the mandate to advocate on an individual basis, as opposed to their previous mandate of system issues, which I'm really not aware of anybody truly understanding that, because anytime anyone spoke of an issue in health, that was the first response. Well, have you spoke to the Seniors Advocate? Well, the Seniors Advocate did nothing for an individual cause. They were systems. Now, having said that, are there any health professionals in this agency? In the Department of Seniors, do they have anyone with any knowledge of health? I don't know. This is what I'm hearing, and it's scary to me. And like again, when the budget came down, you heard the issues regarding everything we're doing, the structure, new hospital, repairs of the hospital, the health professionals, the number of beds, access, all of that, and all of that contributes to a person's well-being. However, I didn't hear anything regarding the lack of supervision in the system to see if what is there now is actually working and how effective or efficient it's working. There's no quality review of any programs. And this is why it is so desperately, I think, needed to have an independent health advocate to address some of those issues, because if not, you'll get referred to the Department of Seniors, or you'll get referred to the Seniors Advocate, even if they have those mandates. And where you will get left is in limbo, because you will keep getting referred to this one and that one. And in the system now, it seems less and less that people know where to refer you. So that's my comments regarding the comments on the health system this morning.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the Office of the Seniors Advocate is primarily, charged with, addressing the systemic issues across the range for those age 65 and over. But a generalized health advocate, I think, is a great idea. That person would be paid, I would suggest, at the top of the pay scale, given the myriad of issues that we have facing the healthcare system. There are pockets in each organization, whether it's the seniors advocate or other advocates, where they will, address the systemic issues. But you're right, specifically, if you were to call up and look for direction as to who, and you mentioned, you'd wonder if there's anyone in the Department of Seniors who has, the ADMs are tasked with that, and usually that would be the experience inside. I mean, ministers will come and go, as we know. In a perfect world, the Justice Minister is a lawyer or the Health Minister is a doctor. It doesn't always work that way, and there are changes, in the ministerial portfolios as it go along. But I'm with you on that. I've heard similar calls saying there is a seniors advocate, but I can't get my specific issue looked at, and I'm being, bounced around from office to office. But it's just getting pushed down the line, and I don't get a specific answer to my specific need. I would have thought that's what the seniors advocate was for, but you believe not so.
No, it certainly was. They addressed system issues, and mainly was rents and stuff like that. But apart from the whole awful point of it was that it seemed like the public was being fed this disinformation that the seniors advocate would do this, because every time this is what you would hear, well, have you called the seniors advocate? And there was no point in it, because their mandate was not to. But if they're now being added the mandate to investigate health issues, how are they going to investigate it if they have no one there that has any knowledge in health or the health system? And that's the same way with the Department of Seniors. I mean, me being referred to Department of Seniors for a health issue? Don't you think that sounds a bit weird?
It is weird, and it's counterproductive.
Yeah, but is there a move to put all the long-term care now under the Department of Seniors? I mean, that's going backwards.
It's a good question. I know I had Susan Walsh, the current seniors.
No, I don't mean for you to have any answers. But if anybody, if you get the opportunity to talk to health or the new Department of Seniors, ask, do they have qualified people in health to answer those questions? Because what you will find, it will become even more confusing. I mean, Department of Health, by its very nature, is rather complex. It has a myriad of professionals. It has all kinds of divisions that, the public not necessarily know even exist. And if you haven't worked in the system or have gone through a horrific experience with them, because I can tell you, any person that has a problem with the healthcare system has been put through their paces with it, and you end up not getting answers. That's for a lot of the public. So unless you have someone that can advocate in the healthcare system, no one is going to know where to go or who to contact.
Yeah, and the real risk, as you said, it's a valid point. And as you said, I may not have the answer, but I would welcome the health minister. And I mentioned Susan Walsh only because she is retiring, and there will be a new seniors advocate in the not too distant future. So all of those issues, this is very timely, Mary, and all of them need to be put to the new seniors advocate to get the thoughts and see which way their thoughts are going with regard to this, and whether or not so much should be lumped under that one heading of seniors advocate, whereas it's not all health issues. And And, that may not be the best place to go if they don't have that expertise in-house in that particular department. Mary, only because I'm right at the bottom of the half hour, I can't tell you how much I wanted to hear you out. I really appreciate your response to Sister Elizabeth and Dr. Parfrey. Keep listening, because when we get there will be a new seniors advocate appointed to replace Susan Walsh pretty soon, and I'm hoping to have them on this show toot sweet.
Well, I hope they don't have the mandate to investigate health issues, because it'll go nowhere. And maybe like with Sister Elizabeth and Parfrey coming on, maybe the public, maybe somehow we will get a public voice ongoing for health issues. Because if you see it going in the wrong direction, and I mean to be referred to the Department of Seniors for a health issue, I mean, I was just left speechless.
It does seem counterintuitive, absolutely. And as you said,
you can't get answers from the Department of Health. So what are you going to get from the Department of Seniors?
They're a busy crowd over there. There's no question. But I will say that as we talked about, Dr. Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth, the government of the day, at their peril, ignores their advice. So I agree with you there. It's great to have their voices on this program and continually, not just after the recent government and left those positions, but that they're still voicing the experience and the wisdom that they have. Mary, thank you so much for the call. We will definitely revisit this topic in the not too distant future, the near future.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Take care. Okay, it's a great call from Mary. Great response to that call earlier this morning, if you missed it, when we had Dr. Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth on. Okay, we got Bob's going to talk Carney and Trump and China. Randy wants to talk about tinted windows, all over that. Drew Richardson, Happy City St. John's, co-chair, of course, and Elvis Loveless, the Liberal MHA for Fortune Bay, Cape Lahoon, after the break.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
And welcome back to the show. Final half hour for this Wednesday. Let's go right to line number 8. And Elvis Loveless, the MHA, Liberal MHA for Fortune Bay, Cape Lahoon. You're on the air.
Thank you, Brian, for this opportunity. And then, as I said before, keep up the good work that you're doing. Good conversations. And Brian, very interesting caller that you had previous. Because
I thought so, too. I thought you might want to go there. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Well, it is, Brian, because it's not coming from a politician. People say, well, because you're in opposition or whatever, but that came from a very sincere, genuine person that talked about the frustrations and where it's going in terms of you have a Department of Health and Community Services and you have a Department of Seniors. So where is the advocacy for the premier, or for the seniors? Mm-hmm. But the thing about it is, we realize that governments may have choices, and they chose to show Dr. Parfrey the door. And I can tell you, Brian, when I was in cabinet, our group certainly had, and caucus had presentations from Dr. Parfrey, and every presentation was centered around seniors' care and making sure that the delivery of care for them is, I would even call it under a separate umbrella altogether in terms of seniors' care, because we need to move there. But so it's unfortunate that he was moved out. This lady talked about advocacy. How does the senior's voice be heard? And the advocacy office obviously is not doing that. Then hopefully that mandate will expand. But that mandate was there from Dr. Parfrey in terms of what he was doing. And it's unfortunate that happened. But we move on. But it was good to hear that from her, because she outlined the issues and the problems there 100%.
Unfortunate. You're absolutely right that Dr. Parfrey moved on. That was, in your words, shown the door. Given the work that was already begun and his intimacy and familiarity with the health accord and the goals and the social determinants and the direction it was meant to go, it felt like the wrong move at the time. But credit to Dr. Parfrey and Sister Elizabeth. They're not going away. They're here on this show today, and they are going to continue with their advocacy, and good on them for that. It's one thing to be shown the door, but it means nothing. The knowledge, the wisdom, the experience is too valuable to let just fall by the wayside. They recognize that, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and it's great. I didn't hear them, but I'm here in my district today. Didn't hear them, but great on them to continue that voice for the seniors and for the wholeness of healthcare. And Brian, I go to talk about healthcare in my district, and last year there was an announcement made for a 10-bed extension to the Canagra Peninsula Healthcare Center here in Harbour Breton, where I am today, and that was to address obviously some extra additional long-term care beds and open up, which is a big issue down here in terms of acute care beds. And also in that announcement was room for family care clinic as well. And this was worked on for a couple of years. I was working with Central Health staff and getting it all together for this to happen. So we were hoping that this would, I certainly was, and people in this coast were certainly hoping that it would happen. That when the announcement was made last year, outside the grounds of the Canagra Healthcare Center in Harbour Breton, there were staff, mayors, business leaders, and seniors. It was a great day for healthcare in this region, because not just for Harbour Breton, it's for the region. And I lobbied the current Minister of Seniors and certainly the Health Minister. I met with her 2 hours and assured that it was not canceled, which was a good thing. So I had hoped that there would be some kind of indication in the budget that, okay, there's money set aside for further planning, and this would be stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. No mention at all. I gave a response speech the other day to the budget and told both ministers how disappointed I am on behalf of the people out here, because it is about seniors, and not just about seniors. It's for the whole of the Canagra Peninsula in terms of health care. And for them to make that decision was very, very unfortunate, because in the last several months, I've heard the Premier, I've heard the Health Minister, I've heard the Minister who is responsible for seniors, who's also the Finance Minister, talked every day about need for long-term care beds and need for acute care beds. Well, this is exactly what it was, but then it comes back to choices. But they made the choice not to give hope to people down here when there was a lot of hope that this would happen, because it is a need, is a necessity. I mean, in terms of geography, down from Harbour Breton to Transcanada Highway, we're 200 kilometers away, and the services down here needs to improve, and we need more, because if we do, then that is the solution to relieving the strains and stress of the hospital in Grand Falls, Windsor, and the hospital in Gander, because people travel over this road to go to these facilities, and we know when that happens, they have to leave here to go there. The need gets great, and there's wait lists, and people don't get to their appointments. People miss appointments, and the strain and stress is on the system, and so it's unfortunate, because I mean, their slogan of better health care for all of us. Well, I hope, and I do live in hope, and I'll keep lobbying. I'm telling you, I'm not letting this go, because it is the right thing to do, and the government needs to recognize that. I will definitely be lobbying, continue to lobby, and I know I have the support from the people down here that if you're going to say better health care for all of us, and you want to build up rural Newfoundland and Labrador, well, that's a good start to say we're going to approve it, and it's going to move forward, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later. So, it's a healthcare infrastructure piece, but also, and I understand in terms of recruitment and retention, that's always going to be a concern, I guess, for various, not just our province, especially in rural parts of the province. It will, but it can't be a deterrent to not moving forward with better health care in terms of facilities down here. And Brian, I could go on, because we have the Beta Spear Clinic in St. Albans, we have Hermitage Clinic, we have Mose Ambrose Clinic, and we have clinical services in Belorem, and then we have the isolated communities that deserve good health care as well, and there's a lot of challenges around there. So I'm hoping that, as I said before, that the government will reconsider this. I'm going to be lobbying hard for it, and right now I take no for an answer. So because it will be for the betterment of all of us down here in terms of health care.
Yeah, and I know that, there were announcements in 2025 regarding the Canagra, and through former Premier Hogan, of course, as well, and through the Liberals. So every time, you must know that I'm getting, if you're listening earlier in the week, there's a lot of critics out there when the Liberals come out and they say it's so rich, that they're now complaining about these things when they had many years to do them themselves. What's your response to that when you run into that? I'm sure you do from time to time.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's I mean, we've seen Lloyd Parrott, we've seen all of them on the other side blame us for the last 10 years that nothing was ever done. Like, to me, that's a hiding behind the curtain, I guess, of the past. And because I was in government, I was in only for 6 years. You didn't do this, you didn't do that. Well, absolutely. I mean, but you can't do it all, and they recognize that you can't do it all. But that doesn't stop me now, because it wasn't done in the last 6 years under my watch. There was planning for this leading up for the announcement for this to happen, and so because I was in, you didn't get it done for the last 6 years. Okay, so I'm supposed to sit down, park my voice, and not be a voice for the people. It ain't happening, Brian. They can keep continuing hiding behind the fact that, you didn't do anything for 10 years. Well, I could use that excuse as well. 12 years before that, there was a PC member here. But who's going to win from that? Nobody wins from that. Let's work together. We need to work together for the betterment of everybody. If we're going to get excuses, and that's all we've got in the House of Assembly, every answer is, you didn't do anything for 10 years. I mean, that's, to me, it lacks a sense of security in the new government. And it's like, well, listen, our questions have solutions too. So take them, work together, so it can be better health care for all of us. Because if not, then we're going to go back at them and say, well, it's not for all of us. It's only for those that supported the current government, which is unfortunate. And Brian, I'm going to call you again another day and talk about that person that called you about the seniors, because I do have an individual seniors issue in my district that's so unfortunate, but I want to bring it to your attention and let others listen to what seniors are facing in terms of challenges. And this is a financial strain on a senior, and I want to talk about that, and I'll give you a call next week.
You got it. I look forward to it. Thanks for understanding with the time, but thanks for the input this morning as well. There's a lot there, and I look forward to the next time we talk.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time.
Elvis Lovelace, the Liberal MHA for Fortune Bay, Cape Lahoon. Thanks very much. Off to break, Dave. And welcome back to the home stretch for this Wednesday. Let's go right to line number 6. And Drew Richardson with Happy City St. John's, co-chair external. You're on the air.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, how you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure, by all means. We're close to the end, but I've certainly got a few minutes. Let's talk Town Hall. What's up?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have the Ward 3 Town Hall coming up tonight at the Cowan Heights United Church at 7 p.m. With Greg Noseworthy, the Ward 3 councillor here in St. John's, moderated by Lori Lydia Lovelace, a Rogers TV host. And we are super excited and want to let everybody know so they can come on out and get civically engaged with their municipal representative.
Absolutely. And it's called Happy City, but there are a lot of less than happy topics that I'm sure are going to come up tonight so that we can try to dig into those and make it a happy city. But there are some people who aren't very happy with the city, and the issues are wide and varied. And I know that Councillor Noseworthy was in the queue earlier, and I think we ran out of time to get to him. So I'm really glad you called. What do you anticipate will be the structure of this evening?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have two different parts of the evening. The first portion is the moderated conversation with the moderator, Lori Lydia Lovelace and Greg Noseworthy. And then the second portion, we'll have a box essentially so that attendees can submit their questions. And then those will be brought up to the moderator during the second portion of the event, so that the residents can actually hear their questions being asked by the moderator to the councillor.
Right.
And the additional moderated questions that we've developed for the event, cover local safety or crime, infrastructure and services, housing and social services, community and engagement, and also governance as well. So we're really trying to make this try to hit all the bases here, so that residents can really hear some of the things that they want to hear from their representative.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's just an hour and a half, eh?
Absolutely. If we had more time, we would definitely have a lot more to cover, but we make do with what we have, right?
Sure. What will come of what comes out of today or tonight?
Yeah, so ideally, we make this a mainstay in the community of St. John. So every year, outside of election years, we get our representatives at the municipal council out to these town halls, and I think that this will kind of combat this online, talking past each other type of thing that we've been doing, on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever it may be, and just get everybody back in a space where we can kind of protect these conversations in public about actual policy. We don't necessarily see this very often anymore, and it's kind of old-fashioned. So it used to work, it can still work, and we should still be doing it.
I believe so too. Development and everything else that's happening in the Cowan Heights area. I mean, kind of my neck of the woods. I grew up in the old area, right down by Byron Park. But I grew up and watched that whole issue of the whole neighbourhood develop right up to Blackmarsh Road and beyond that. Now, of course, we're new housing development on the north side of Blackmarsh, just beyond Canada Drive there. So that should be interesting. So that'll even be an issue. The park system, trail system throughout Cowan Heights has always been an issue, and there have been some really troubling criminal encounters and acts in that area. So more than anything, I think people, as you said, it's kind of old-fashioned, but the importance of being able to vent and be heard in a public forum, I don't think should ever go out of vogue. Hey?
Absolutely. It gives it gives people kind of this outlet. Obviously, we want everything to be respectful, and that we preach that. That's something that we need to get back to in terms of politics, so we can actually have substantive conversations about actual policy.
Sure.
That will be impactful in our communities. And this is just one way to do that, and one way to kind of keep that ball rolling so we can make this a mainstay in the city of St. John's outside of those election years. We typically get really excited when election rolls around, and then, we don't have those avenues anymore to get a hold of our councillors, and this can fill that gap.
Sure. And there's a pipeline right to council with Councillor Noseworthy there tonight, so that works great. Drew, I appreciate the call. I'm going to try to squeeze one more in. So tonight at the on Frecker Drive there at the Cowan Heights United Church, 141 Frecker, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Come one, come all. Thanks so much for the call.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian.
Take care.
Bye.
Good luck. Okay, let's see. One more call for the morning. Let's go to Bob on line 4. Bob, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Grand. I'm looking at my screen. It says Carney versus Trump and the trip to China. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just going to let you go and see what points you can make in a few minutes there. Go right ahead.
Sure. The difference in between Carney and Trump going to China is that Carney went the back door, didn't he? Right? He went the back door. Nobody really knew what he was talking about or what he was going to represent.
You mean the trip on the EVs, right? Among other things.
No, just the other day, about 3 days ago.
Oh, okay.
And Trump is in China this morning, and they rolled out the red carpet. My son, you should see it. They thought he was the best thing since sliced bread. What? Right? Because Trump got it, right? Trump knows what he's doing, but Carney is selling us out to China, bro. Right? What's going on? Canada has never been the same for 15 years. What's going on? We're paying for everything. The food is up. Everything is up. Nothing's going right. It's wrong. Are you still there, bro?
Yes, as I mentioned, I only have so much time. I wanted you to get all your points across without interrupting. Look, right now, diversification, globe-trotting, whatever you want to call it, it seems to be an effort to at least, as far as Canada goes and Carney goes, to at least, kick the tires wherever he can to find alternate sources. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
No, my buddy.
Yep.
Carney is not kicking the tires.
No, but you have to let a person finish their thought. But you go right ahead.
Carney is kicking Canadians.
Yep.
Carney is kicking Canadians. Right.
And I might have even said that if you'd let me finish. But go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sure. Carney is killing Canada. He's not a Canadian. He's a grifter. This guy, he killed England from the Bank of Canada, right? You know that. Do you not know that, Brian?
I don't. No, I don't know. You're using the words "he killed England." No, I would not agree.
That's right. He killed the Bank of England. Yes.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't agree with that.
With his policies, and he's doing it now in Canada.
Because that's pejorative language. Killed this, killed that. That's where we go off the rails. But continue. I got about 30 seconds. Go ahead.
30 seconds. Carney is a grifter. He's not my prime minister. He was never anybody's prime minister. I don't know how he got in, but he's killing Canada, and man, it's brutal. It's brutal. And if you don't see it, you're blind, bro.
No, listen. It's I see your opinion, and I'm not blind to that. And that's where we'll.
Nobody can afford anything. I can't go to the grocery store. I can't afford a steak. I got to eat chicken or pork. I can't afford a beef. Lord, my God. You know, you go to the store, it's like $30 for a steak.
All true. I got to get going, but all true. But I wouldn't blame that on one person. Bob, I really got to get going.
I blame it all on Kearney.
Fair enough.
And Trudeau.
Fair enough, and you're more than entitled to do that.
15 years ago, my son, when the Conservatives were in power, before the 15th, we were doing better.
Bob, I'm off to the news. I really got to go.
I'll call you again tomorrow.
Yes, call me anytime. I don't want anyone to think. I don't want anyone to think that I don't want to hear your opinion. You're more than welcome. Thanks again. Right there, Sarah Strickland, give me the eye. Yeah, that's because you're pissed with the Jays, aren't you? That's what it's all about. Sarah Strickland, all ready to go with the noonday news. Drive safely, everyone, and arrive alive. VOCM cares.